Alright, we're going to finish the review video. And that's out of focus, but I ain't going to touch it because I'm going to be moving it back. Okay, let's see. Microphone on. Check this. Hello, 1, 2. Okay. I think we're good. Oh, I don't have my test prints. I'm gonna grab them because I already got close-up shots, but I want to talk about them. Not the greatest of lighting, but I got hopefully some close-ups. Although I should probably do it again because I got way better lighting in here. I will. But let's start this video. I want to say a few things, see if I can remember them all. Yeah, that's okay in the background. Alright, well, welcome back. We got that thing unboxed. It's actually 2 days later. I've had a lot of time to just mess with this thing, test it, go through its paces, and find out if it's any good or not. So what I want to do briefly is just tell you the good things about this printer, and then we'll move on to some of the bad things that happened along the way. My goal, of course, is to be able to have a printer that a new person could get and be able to use without really knowing anything about 3D printing. Now, I actually think that that is a feasible option here. So, this printer has done really a nice prints for me so far. I just tried printing one of these QSNs. It's still on there, and we'll get to that later. But the whole point of this machine is it's small, it's portable, and it's user-friendly, because most people who do not, have never 3D printed anything will not be able to figure out a complex machine. And this has auto bed leveling, right? So the whole nozzle moves to auto bed level. There are lots of instructions. Everything is on the SD card that comes with the machine. So you just grab this card, put it in your computer, it's got the instructions, it's got a warranty card, it's got all the software, it's got the firmware, everything is on this card. You do not even need to download anything, so you can actually do this without internet if you want. So basically, this machine should be able to totally be possible for any average user that may have never used a 3D printer. The auto level function works really well on here. I haven't had any issues. The only problems I've had is whenever the probe goes around to probe everything, sometimes there's a little extra plastic under here and it gets daubed onto the bed. And then when you run the routine again, it may not actually hit the bed all the way. I haven't really had any issues with that, but I'm just saying you should watch out for that. So I said some of the things I wanted to say. Maybe I should just record that whole thing again, though. Because I want to make sure I get a good, quick, fast shot. I got a little sidetracked there. I think I will. Camera appears like it's leaning, but I guess it's not. Alright, I'll just do that again. I want to talk about all the good things now and the bad things later. Alright, we'll shoot it again. Alright, welcome back. I've changed my clothes. It's actually 2 days later. I've had time to play with this thing and figure out if I like it, if I don't like it. Good things, bad things. We're going to talk about the bad things later. We're going to start out with the good things. So the question I wanted to know was, can you actually spend, right around $250, less than $300, get a printer that a person that's never used a printer before, can they actually use this printer? So, I must say, I'm actually quite impressed with this printer so far. It's produced some extremely nice prints, and the auto bed leveling feature on here is just really nice. It seems to work flawlessly, and I haven't really had any problems with that. So, the SD card here, I screwed that up again. The first part I think is good. Let's just keep rolling. I'll restart this though. So let's talk about the good things real quick. This printer is fairly lightweight. You can just carry it around. It's definitely a portable machine, which is what I needed. I need something small and portable. Somewhere I gotta cut to that other footage. We'll do that later though. So this printer has actually really surprised me so far. For less than $300, you can purchase a printer. It's 150 millimeter by 150 millimeter by 150 millimeter, and that's basically a good size volume for any normal tasks that an individual would do. The auto bed leveling feature is a really simple thing to use. You just go in here, set it, let it do its thing, and it's good to go. And actually, if you set up the slicer and everything correctly with the start G code and the end G code, it would automatically do that. You don't have to do anything except for just start your file. Alright. I think I said enough twice now. I hate it that I didn't write all this stuff down, but it's okay. Let's just jump on over to this and I'll get back to thinking about that. Put all these on here. Alright, so So my first set of tests were to print all of these things, and these are basically layer height checks and dimensional checks. It's just a simple little piece, 50 millimeter tall, and what I did is just printed a bunch of these at different layer heights, from 0.025 all the way up to 3. So let's have a good close look at what these actually look like. We'll do that in a minute. After learning what kind of tolerances I can get on this machine, I decided to print out these very small frogs. And I printed each one of these at a different layer height, from 0.2 to 0.1 all the way down to 0.05, just to see what the machine was capable of. Now when I got down to 0.05 millimeter layer height, it was really too much. The printer was having a hard time, making sure this thing was stuck to the bed and getting that first couple of layers down. And I don't suspect you'll ever print with such small layer height. I think 0.1 is actually perfectly fine for this printer. It seems like it can handle that. Anything smaller, it would probably work, especially on bigger prints would be easier, but I found out that the small pieces were just warping too much. But it definitely is amazingly smooth. Alright. These two. So I printed out some of the files that came on the SD card that were sliced from the manufacturer. This little bear guy, pretty sweet little print, actually turned out really nice. I was really surprised at how nice and it feels solid, even though it's like somewhere around, I think, 25% infill. It's got 5 or 6 layers. It's a really nice print. And this little cup vase thing actually turned out amazing. This is the first thing I actually printed. And I'll be darned if this thing just doesn't look beautiful. This was printed in vase mode, but this was something that the factory sliced. I did not slice this, and it really, really turned out gorgeous. The very bottom layers, you can actually see all the way through them, and I think that's just due to the fact that I adjusted the extruder pressure, and I think it was slipping a little bit, so I think that would make that more solid. The second thing I've printed is solid, and I think that's what was happening, is the filament was slipping. Alright, I already got that. I want to talk about something else real quick. Yeah. So the yellow pieces that you see here on this printer, on the SD card that this machine comes with, are the actual files. So I've actually printed out a black fan channel for cooling the part as it's running. So these are actually already on here, sliced, ready to go. So I do recommend, printing some of these in case you break the ones that are on there. You've got them in stock, they're right on the card, print it and go. Now this particular one, I actually sped it up to 400%, and it had a little bit of trouble there for a little bit, so I slowed it down, and I ended up running it at about 200%. While it was running at 100%, you can see how the plastic is a lot more glossy, and then it got a little more dull as it was going faster. It did have a few little spots where it had some trouble, so I was pushing it like probably past its maximum speed just to see what would happen. So definitely stay in with the boundaries. I believe 80 millimeter max on this guy, millimeters per second. I actually need to look, I don't remember. Okay, so the bad. Alright, it's that time. Let's talk about the bad stuff. So, the worst thing that happened so far is that when I got this machine in from the shipping, it was completely banged up. It was falling apart. There were some pieces actually that fell completely off, and that actually is not the manufacturer's fault or the person's at GearBest. It's not their fault either. It's actually shipping. Now, I talked to the GearBest people, and they said if this happens, they'll send a repair part if something's broken, or they'll refund you the entire price, or they'll send you a new printer and switch one out. So they're actually, there was a warranty card on the SD card that you can actually mail in. So from my understanding, they'll take care of you if this happens to you. However, if this does happen to you and you want to keep the printer, you want to work on it, I highly recommend you just take a little bit of time and tighten everything up, make sure everything's in good shape, because this is a really well-built printer in my opinion. So in a separate video, I'm going to show you how I repaired this unit. I'm not going to do that in this video, so if you want to see that, subscribe to this channel, and I'll be posting that in the next section. Okay. Alright, so if this printer comes to you all nice and dandy and it's not beat up like mine was, I would still recommend going over everything and just tightening everything, making sure there's no play in any of these axes. Again, watch the other video on how to adjust those things. I'll post that soon, if not already. And so I just wanted to kind of tell you a few things I did not like about this printer. First of all, the buzzer is like extraordinarily loud. So I just took a little paper towel and I shoved it in there, and that's good enough for me for now. The other thing I really did not like about this printer is this ribbon cable. It's a fine design, but I think because this unit is portable, you know, you're supposed to pick it up and carry it around. I imagine this is sort of the most fragile part of this. I believe, you know, the rest of this unit, you could probably carry it in the wrong way and it's not going to really hurt it. But this, if this gets snagged, is going to rip. And so either put something around here or be careful. You might be able to find something like this wire shroud that you could put around here to keep it from being ripped. But that's really the worst part about this printer, is this ribbon cable seems like it's a bit delicate. I know these are tough, but yeah, I think it'd be easy to rip, especially if you picked it up and you just got it snagged on something. I think it would rip. The other bad things about this printer is I don't really know of many other bad things. To be completely honest, I've had a really awesome time using this in the last couple of days, and I'm probably going to use this a lot more. So one of the things I wanted to know, let's see, I'll say that in a different part of this. Okay, I need to talk about a few more of the good things. Okay. So let's talk about some of the good things with this printer. It has really ease portability. Alright, it's just super portable. You can carry this thing around and it's really great. One of the things I really like about it is you can print from the SD card. You do not need to have this plugged in a computer. As a matter of fact, I haven't plugged it into the computer at all yet. What I did was on here there's a couple of settings for repeater host or repeater, however you say it. And you can just go ahead and install everything that's on this SD card. You don't even need the internet. It's all on here already for you. You can just go ahead and set that up, and you can drag in the settings that are already on the SD card into the repeater host, and it will automatically set up everything, and it'll have all the little tweaks and settings in there. So what I did is I just took those settings and I put them into my other slicing programs. I've used K-Slicer and Simplified 3D, and they both work fine. So actually I have, if you've never seen this, one of these QSNs on the bed, and what was happening is it actually got a little off shift, and I don't know what happened, but I think what I realized was it either got snagged or I have my settings still set way too fast for this, and it actually jumped a tooth or missed a step on the stepper motor. But actually this QSN is surprisingly looking pretty nice. I'll try another one though and see if we can get that one to print better. Okay, some more good stuff. Okay, we can talk about this extruder. Alright, so the extruder on this guy is, I believe, what they call a bulldog, and it seems to work just fine. On here there is a little set screw where you can tighten this, and I had to adjust that a little bit tighter for my liking. So it seems the extruded motor for a direct drive seems to work just fine. I'm used to a direct drive like this. The Bowden tube here is short enough that it's not a big worry. I think it's just fine. It's not too long, and it seems to do okay with retractions. Okay. Man, I just wish I had thought this out a little bit better. I'm sweating. Alright, I think the best thing to do is just use the camera to get my close-up shots. So if I don't move that, I should have the same shot. Okay. Microphone's going to sound different from this angle, but that's okay. So let's talk about the mechanical properties of this machine. So it's very straightforward. It's got a Z-rail here. It's got 3 plastic extruded bearings on here. one on the top, one on the bottom, one right there in the front. For the other axes, you've got a 4 roller system, and then the same thing on the bottom. There are 4, hard to see, but there are 4 rollers inside here, one on each corner. This is very stable, this is very stable, and the whole thing's pretty good. Now this whole entire thing is actually on a very thick piece of acrylic. You can see in there it's something like 10 millimeter. I haven't measured it, but it looks at least 10. It could be 12 or even 15. It's pretty thick. And so it's thick enough that when you add the other supports, these aluminum rails going the other way, there's just no way this thing is going to be like flexible. And then this piece is bonded to the base, so it gives it even more rigid support. One thing that I've noticed about these slide rails is the wheels don't quite fit perfectly in the channels, and that's okay, except they're actually starting to leave a little pieces of plastic here and there. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to wear to the angle a little bit better. They're not quite perfect, but I think that it's not going to cause any problem whatsoever. I don't see any issues so far. And over time you may have to tighten these if they get slightly loose, but that's not a big deal. So this machine is all extruded aluminum. It's got extruded aluminum rails, it's got an acrylic base, and it's also even got a machined handle. This has actually been machined and iodized. Well, everything is black iodized. All the other pieces are aluminum. There is no 3D printed parts except for this housing, this wire cover, this is a bearing cover, and the fan shroud for the cooling fan. Everything else on this unit is either casted or extruded or machined. Everything on here is metal or acrylic, which is fantastic. Okay. I'm going to talk about the cord, even though I'll talk about it this way. Okay. So this cord here is very thin, and I actually think it's probably the weakest part of the entire system. Because this unit is portable, I think if this would accidentally get snagged, it's just going to get ripped off. So that's really the major weak point of this unit. I would have liked to have seen a wire system sort of like this with a harness. I think that would have been much more wiser for this. This is easier, probably cheaper, but it's definitely going to be the weakest part. Okay. What else? Oh yeah, I know. I'll put the camera back up here for this. Alright, my chair fell down. Some of this is redundant, but it's just extra footage for me to go through to use. So one of the other things that I do not like about this machine is it does not come with a power switch. So therefore you have to unplug it every time you want to turn it off. Implementing a power switch would be really easy, and I think that the manufacturer should do that, because that's just something that you should do. Yeah, I guess that's it. Okay. What else do I need to say about this? I want to make some close-up shots of those prints in here. They seem like they'd be better in here. Okay. Alright, so I hope you guys liked this review. Don't forget, the next video, or sometime soon, I'm going to be posting repair video on this guy that I had to do when I first got it. Now, I really hope that doesn't happen to you, but if it does, like I said, gear best, and the manufacturer should take care of it, according to my communication to them, so you just need to communicate to them. But honestly, there was nothing physically broken here, and it just took a little bit of time to tighten everything and get it going. So that's really the biggest complaint I have with shipping, and that's not really anyone's fault except for the shipping company. Now, as far as the printer itself, it's easy to use. The auto level feature is really amazing. I actually took this on my motorcycle, drove it all the way up to work, used it for the day, drove it all the way back. That's a pretty portable unit if I can strap it onto my motorcycle. So I highly recommend this product even for a beginner. If you are absolutely not mechanical minded and you can't understand any programming things, I think the instructions are clear enough to get you through. There's a really nice video where you can go and watch the video. It shows you how to use it, how to set it up. There's no audio with that, but it is in English or even a few other languages. So I highly recommend trying this printer out if it's your first time printer, if you want to go for it. I'll be recommending this to a lot of people. The only thing is that it doesn't have a huge build volume, 150 millimeter cubed or square. Other than that, I'm going to leave you with the portability option of this. Probably not. Okay. Alright. Russ out. Peace to you guys. Have a good day. God bless. Thanks for watching. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this review video. And if you want to see me do more reviews in the future, let me know down in the comments. We'll see you later. I'm back. Alright. Do I need to say anything else? Hi there, buddy. I just want to get some close-up shots of these things. I don't know where I can set this. I'm almost done. I'm going inside in a minute because it's already 10:30. I just came out here to shoot the end of my video, and man, I hope I didn't break the small I am gonna pop that off bed real quick. Let's see if this actually works. Yeah, not really. This scraper, it doesn't have a sharp edge on it. Okay. Can I pull this off? Yeah, I can. How about that? Wow. Looks pretty good, even though it's, no, I had to stop it. Let's see, I really need a better background, don't I? Let's just try it. So here's this QSN that I was trying to print. So it's a different plastic, of course. Here's one that looks flawless, or pretty darn close. But this is a different plastic, and honestly, it was turning out really, really nice. But I had something shift, and it might have just been because of my settings. You see how stringy it is? It could be the plastic, could be some settings, but the actual print itself is not too bad. I really can't complain. Pretty good. Okay. The bear. So how would you rate the 3D printer for beginners? I would rate it excellent, actually. Because of its auto bed leveling feature and ease of use. I think the instructions and stuff are going to be a little rough. You just have to sort of put a little effort into it, but I really think it'd be a good printer. I don't think the instructions are quite as clear as they could be, but they're not bad. They're actually pretty decent. So here is this bear. You can see how the quality is. It's pretty darn good. This was sliced on the printer or on the SD card by the manufacturer. No support at all. You can see the tail was not supported, so it kind of hung down. But yeah, you can see the details on the face. I can't complain. That is a pretty nice looking print. Alright, next. So here's the vase. This was printed on the machine. It was on the SD card, I mean. And it was in vase mode. You could tell how it was printing. It was in vase mode. And man, I gotta say, this thing really looks good. Now the bottom here, I was having some problems with the extruder where I needed to tighten the spring tension, and so it doesn't look as nice as the rest. But yeah, wow. That's pretty darn amazing for a less than a $300 printer. Really, really, really nice. See if I can get a close-up of these frogs. That's 0.1, okay. So here are the frogs. On the far right here we have the 0.2 millimeter layer height. You can see on the legs how there's just the detail just sort of drops off. Looks like something you'd put together with layers of a puzzle. Little cardboard style. Alright, the middle here is 0.1, and you can see it's starting to look pretty good. And actually I wouldn't recommend going past 0.1 on this machine. Like the overhang here, you know, obviously no support, didn't support the bottom. But you can see on the legs how it looks. It's pretty darn good. If you go any lower, this is 0.05 layer heights, and it actually started making it look worse in spots. And you can see the side of this frog still looks pretty good, and this one kind of looks actually kind of rough. But look how smooth that is. You almost can't hear it. Listen to that one. And of course this one. It's actually pretty incredible how smooth that 0.05 millimeter one is. Alright. Whoops. There goes the frogs. Alright, so I need to to do these as well. Maybe I'll try to put them on the counter. And then I gotta be done. I gotta go inside. I'm exhausted. I do want to slice one more file for the QSL. I want to try printing another one. Okay, 0.2, 0.1, 0.25. 0.05, 0.025, 0.3, 0.1, 0.175, 0.125, and that's 0.075. Okay, there we go. Not sure how these will look. I already got what I thought was pretty good footage of these, but I'd like to get some more. I think what I'll do is just pick them up one at a time. Now there's 0.025. You can see it's a bit rough. It actually worked, but it does not really look amazing. It's just it's too much. Here's 0.05, and it looks, those layer heights look pretty good, but I think it's a little too much too. Here's 0.075. This one, here's 0.075. This one actually looks pretty good, but you can see the layers in the other direction. These are all printed at 35 millimeters per second, so kind of fast. Here's a 0.1, which again looks pretty good. I can't complain about that. Here's a 0.125. Again, just fine. I mean, You almost can't see too much of the layer height. 0.15, starting to see a little layers, but it still looks clean. 0.175. See how nice it really looks good. 0.2, which is your kind of your standard, if you want to call it that. It looks fine as well. Of course, you can hear it. And then a 0.25, which did okay. I think it was a little under extrusion in certain spots. And then 0.3, maybe with tuning you could get this to work better, but you actually started getting holes in the print. So normally you don't go this high anyway. 0.25 here is about the norm for that anyway. But yeah, these are great. Can't complain about any of them really, except for the 0.03 and the 0.025, which, I mean, come on, that's just crazy. Okay, I think I've completed my task. I am done. I'm going inside. I'm going to start the stream again later once I get this sliced. Other than that, I highly recommend this printer. It's actually a really great printer for a start.